Yeah, like some people get hung up on like age and let's say height and weight and stuff like that. No, own it, love it, walk it, live it. What are the words that start with an L that we can start with?
I
Lavish
own
it.
it.
Yeah, might as well, right? We only get the
Exactly.
one body, we only get the one life.
Exactly. I have this earth suit for a certain amount of time, and I'm a steward over this earth suit. So I take care of it. I go to the gym. I fuel well most of the time. And at Christmas I let up just a little bit, but I, I'm not going to waste any time. And nothing like being in your 60s. Now you are a lot younger, so you have years to go, but nothing like being in your 60s to know that there is a brevity of time. I think it makes a realization of I have a short window here to make this happen. Even if I live in well into my 90s, I still have a small window and I'm going to maximize everything.
Yeah, I'm planning to live to be 1,005, so I have a lot of 60s. I think I'll be
Okay.
60 for quite some time.
It'll be quite some time, yes. But
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
live into your thousands. And I'm sure, like, uh, one of the gurus of the age maybe can make that happen. I don't know.
Maybe with technology, you never know, right? Like put my soul and my head on like a robot's body.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you
You can do
imagine?
that. Yes. I'm sure you
Yeah.
can do. I know cryogenics has been a thing of the people have tried that. So you never know.
Yeah, there's always that joke with like Walt Disney that he's frozen
Yeah,
somewhere, right? So,
that was the
maybe
story.
that was the story. Maybe I'll be next to Walt Disney, but the gym is something that definitely keeps me feeling very young and very energetic, as well as what I found actually that made me feel a lot better. And this is recent that we kind of touched on this
Mhm.
is that the things that life is always going to have stress, but the things that you can control that causes you stress, such as let's say like poor relationships, narcissistic relationships, abuse, once you start getting rid of those or at least putting some distance, you're like, oh my God, I just got back 10 years of my life.
Yes, that's what it feels like. And I think I love what you said. And we can put toxic things into our bodies. People do it all the time. We can eat toxic food for our bodies, all that, and shorten our lifespan. But the friends, the relationships that are toxic, shedding those are just as important for our psyche and for our spirit.
So,
Definitely.
what do you think is the reason why so many people find themselves not only, let's say, in a relationship with a narcissist, but let's say, for example, staying in that relationship with a narcissist?
Why do people stay? Okay, there's a lot of reasons. So, a lot of women, and I'll just target women, a lot of women, older women, mature women, stay in narcissistic relationships for 20, 30, 40, and beyond years is because of health and financial concerns. They've been with this person, they're well aware they're a narcissist, but because maybe they have some health issues, it's easier to be with somebody else. Not that the narcissist is going to put you first ever, but you have the security of being under one roof. Financial, sometimes when you've lived with somebody that long, or been married to somebody that long, you just get used to that, and maybe the woman hasn't worked or hasn't provided enough income to really sustain herself. It's easier to just stay. So I think those are the two primary reasons why. I would say a third one, and the saddest one, is because they don't think enough of themselves to do anything about it.
I find that to be two of probably the main reasons in my experiences is that a narcissist will make you feel trapped in that
Yes.
relationship, right? Like
Yes.
either they're the one that's going to be providing a lifestyle that in the beginning it's like, oh my God, I found Mr. or Mrs. Right.
Yeah.
right? And then you're financially dependent on that person. And another one is they will break you down because a lot of people who find themselves in a narcissistic relationship maybe are narcissists themselves, or they present certain um weaknesses or character behaviors that are like catnip to a narcissist, right? Like a narcissist will look at them and be like, ooh, here comes another victim that's graduating every year like a college student,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, that is very astute observation. Yes. Often the narcissist is attracted to all a person with all the traits that they will never have. Often they're attracted to an empath who is loving and kind and people oriented and just nurturing and things like that. And they know that they internally, they might never voice it, but they know internally that that piece is missing. So empaths who have all those qualities are a perfect target for the narcissist. And they know how to draw them in with the flypaper of charismatic behavior.
How can then someone identify if the person they're now dating, before it gets very serious, before it gets married, before there's 10 kids involved, how can they identify, okay, this person might be a narcissist? What are some behaviors that they should look for?
Yeah, that is really good because often it escapes us because we get so caught up in the moment, in the charismatic personality of the narcissist. So, some ways I would say one way is to just be aware that is your life being sucked. And I think of that plant on the Addams Family, that plant that, that that sucked in stuff. That's what I think of when I think of a narcissist. So be aware, is your life being sucked in to the narcissist life where your life really doesn't matter? And this could happen absolutely before there's marriage, kids, anything in a dating relationship. Look at over time. To me, the 3 and 4 month period is usually all the masks are off by then, and that's a defining time. Sometimes it's sooner, sometimes it's a first date, and you say, "Ooh, I've been through this before." Ding, 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 and you just cut it off. Sometimes the narcissist will be so slick that you won't recognize it, or they present themselves in a different way. But it's just awareness that your life is being sucked into their life. So your life really doesn't matter as much as their life. Your tasks and your achievements, they're good, and the narcissist will applaud them and will celebrate them, but their accomplishments overshadow always their tasks, the things they're involved in, always will overshadow yours. That's a really good way to know that. I think over a little bit of time, another way is, I mean, and we know, you and I know, and maybe we can delve into this later in the conversation, but there's that cycle, the narcissistic cycle. And at its basic, it's the love bombing. They will do anything and everything to draw you in. Then the discounting, you cooked a meal and it's almost perfect, but this and this and this, just little things are wrong with each thing. The discounting, then of course the discarding, and then the hoovering back in, which is, similar to that plant. And so the morticia plant, we'll call it that. So just to be aware again, and the key word is awareness, be aware of that cycle and be aware of if you are doing things for the narcissist. If you cook a meal and, oh, this salad is great, but you know what? I think a little bit more bacon would be helpful next time. If you cook something else, oh, this is nearly perfect, but huge sign. So those are the top two. I could go on for other signs, but they manifest themselves over time.
And I look at some people who are, let's say, I don't want to use the word damaged or broken, but let's say they have some insecurities that they haven't been able to come to terms with yet, right? It could be someone that they always felt unattractive because people around them made them feel that way. They can always feel low confidence because their family always told them that they were. They can feel insecure for so many different ways. And then you have this Prince Charming, this Princess Charming who comes around and tells you everything you've always wanted to hear from your yay big, right?
Yes.
Now imagine that thrill. Imagine the bells that are going off. Imagine the feeling like, oh my God. It's like you just hit the emotional jackpot. So I can see why some people would be hesitant to kind of break away from that, because if you compare the two, I stay with this person that's a jackass, but he's so nice. I stay with this woman that's a gold digger, but she's so sexy. And then the alternative is I go back to my cold, dark bed, right? A lot of
Yes.
people, no matter how abused they may feel, are going to be like, you know what, Train? You know what, Michelle? This devil over here, I kind of, I kind of know this devil. I can tolerate things, right? And how many times do people stay in places that they're actually tolerated instead of staying in places that they're actually liked? What are your thoughts?
Oh man, that is so real. That is, and it resonates with me too because I was raised to not think much of myself. I was raised to you know to be compared to a younger perceived perfect sibling. I was tolerated in my family and not celebrated. And that was, it made me who I am, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, but that type of growing up makes you vulnerable. And so, yes, in the past I have been vulnerable to that charismatic, very complimentary personality that does that. And I know the saying is we all have a little bit of narcissism in us. Very true, but it doesn't present itself as we're a narcissistic person. And I think that word is thrown around way too much. If somebody acts selfish one time, oh, you're such a narcissist. No, they were just chose to be selfish in that moment. But those personalities that have been maybe the ugly duckling syndrome, and then you have the Prince Charming, maybe you have the princess Shira that comes your direction and they are feeding you everything. It is easy to say, well, it's better than being alone. And to that I say, no, it isn't. It is not. But people are at different stages in their life, and often it's not better to be alone because they haven't done the work in themselves, and it's treacherous to be alone because they're not comfortable with themselves. And so it's easier to sustain yourself with somebody who is a major jerk because you don't think enough of yourself to get out of it and to realize that you do deserve more. It's just like,
You
this
got,
is all I deserve. This is all I've been told I deserve. Just settle for it. It's better than nothing.
you have people that they will be alone not because of a love for themselves. I'm going to be alone. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to repair myself. I'm going to fix where I am deficient in, but I'm going to praise where I'm sufficient in. But they'll be alone because I hate everyone. I hate all women. I hate all men.
Mhm.
Right. And it's interesting to see the difference between someone who is taking a step back out of love and appreciation and someone who's taking a step back out of hatred and what's the word I'm looking for? And maybe anxiety, because
Mhm.
the approach is different. Like the person that, to your point, right, who is saying that, okay, I'm in this abusive relationship. I'm going to take a step back because I want to love myself in the way that I think I should be loved. Right.
Yes.
They'll work on themselves and they'll find certain things, and then maybe they may even take people away from their lives to better
Mhm.
themselves. someone who does it out of hatred now, they'll surround themselves with people who equally hate what they don't like. Right? And then they'll blame everyone else. They'll say that I'm perfect. It's everyone else. Whereas when you go to them, you're like, you do realize that there's healthy relationships being created every day. You do realize that people get married every day and people are creating babies every day. So if this group of people can make it work, why can't you? And right. And what are your thoughts on maybe some people looking inward more so to fix a situation versus looking outward to fix a situation?
Oh, that's such a deep question and insightful. And I will say, people on the outside of that person who is looking on the outside, and I hate everybody, and I'm going to, like the venge, I don't know, kind of like a self-loathing, self-vengeful kind of person. People on the outside aren't going to notice any difference. I mean, they know that person to be who they are, and they're not going to notice a difference. Where a person focusing on getting better, fixing those things in themselves that are broken, doing the work, going through the trenches of self-healing, people around them over time are going to notice that. They're going to notice a transformation taking place. They're going to sense, they might not even say anything, but they're going to sense something is different about them. And I think that's a key. Plus, the person themselves are going to be in social situations and they're going to think, wow, what happened? I feel different. I feel more empowered. I feel stronger, and they're going to notice more all of a sudden because they've been through the subtle journey. People around them are going to notice something is happening in their lives, and maybe even ask the person, what have you been doing? What Something's different about you.
And that's the key. The key is to make sure that you take a look at what you could have controlled and what you couldn't have controlled, right? Because it's unfortunate that maybe so many of us, when things go bad, we don't take a step back to find out why it goes bad. We just go surround ourselves with the people who everything seems to be going bad for, right? And then you mentioned, right,
Yes.
now the self-loathing does even become, you're not even doing it on your by yourself anymore. It's like it literally is that saying, misery loves company, right?
Yes.
And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that when you're dealing with, let's say, a narcissist or someone who's abusive, once you've escaped and breaking free, the narcissist and the abuser goes on to their next victim. They're not
Yes.
thinking about you. Whereas you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. And you're focused on someone that when they're with you didn't care about you. And now that they've drained you of time, resources, and maybe money and your youth and your sanity in a lot of cases,
Yes.
they're on to the next person. So why continue to be a prison of your own pain?
Oh man, that is so much what women, and I'll just speak from a woman's perspective, that's what they go through, and they think after they have, and I'll call it, escaped from a narcissistic relationship of any type, a friendship, relationship, love relationship, they exit from it, they get strong, but then you have moments of, are they thinking about me? Are they, they're doing this big grand vacation, and they have a new supply source, which a narcissist has to have a supply source of all at all times. And so you wonder, I wonder if they've changed. I wonder if he's treating her wonderfully and just like a queen. But remember, he treated you like that too. When he was love bombing you, he treated you like that too, because you were considered a supply source. So in the mind, we're thinking, he's changed. He's treating her wonderfully. He's just miraculously a different person. No, 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 no. And unless they go through And it's hard to even get a narcissist to admit that they're a narcissist. If they go to therapy, if they get the help, and they're very extremely self-aware, they might be able to control it to a certain amount. But most of the time, that is a very slim, a sliver of the people who really go to a therapist and get change. Most, they will never change. And that's the hope of the empath. Maybe they've changed. Maybe they're a different person. Or when they hoover you back in. I've been hoovered back in, and you just think, oh, this is different. This is so different. No, it's not different. It's the same pattern. You can just expect more of the same. And so no, there's no change. There is no oh, if you expect them to come back and say, "Oh my gosh, which we want. Oh my, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I treated you that way. I'm so sorry I diminished you in so many different ways." That is fairy tale